For $349, you get this entire electric scooter. What do you think? Is it worth it? This is the new KQi100P. I'm gonna do a quick unboxing, then I'm gonna take it out on the road and do a full review. Coming up next. One quick start guide, user manual and tools, little bitty charging brick. Looks like all I have to do to get this going is put the handlebars on the unit. It's a 300 watt motor at the back, 9.5 by 2.3 inch tires, pneumatic, smaller battery with 243 watt hours, and a maximum load of 265 pounds or about 120 kilos. So let's take a look at the front. Oh, that's nice. Actually, wow, I like that. It's got suspension at the front as well. I am reminded when I'm putting together this new about how good the engineering and the mechanics are behind a new electric scooter. They are just so good at just making sure everything fits perfectly. The screw holes, everything is absolutely perfect. Putting it together was an absolute dream. There was one little tricky part, and I had to go back to my quick start guide, which I highly recommend you read before you actually put it together. And it says to charge the scooter to activate the battery. You can't actually turn it on until you plug it into the wall for the first time, and that will activate the battery and everything will get to going. Anywho, let's take this out on the road and I'll give you a full review coming up now. Hi there, it's Tim with the new KQi100P. Now, you may or may not know this, but I've reviewed a bunch of the new electric scooters. That's NIU new. And the new scooters, I've just always felt were absolutely terrific. The mechanics, the engineering, the folding was one of the best I've ever seen. I'm super happy that the new KQi100P has a similar awesome folding mechanism, but they're more than that. They're robust. This particular unit is max weight is 265 pounds, which is what I weigh. So I'm 6 feet, 265 pounds. My plan today is to go for a little boot around Victoria here, try it out, and I'm going to stop in a couple of spots and share with you what I like and what I don't like about the new KQi100P. So let's talk about horsepower. We've got the lovely Sam back here just chilling, waiting for his next fare. Horsepower wise, we've got about 300 watts at the back. It peaks out at about 600 watts, which gives you plenty of power just to sort of get up and going. And it's been getting me around the city without any issues whatsoever. It's got a smaller battery, however. It's just 243 watt hours. So it's really only going to be good for shorter commutes. And I just learned something here. Sam, who is a lovely, lovely draft horse, is not 1 horsepower, but about 14 horsepower. That's how much horsepower a horse has. I didn't know that until today. So thank you for sharing. And if you're in Victoria, you want to go for an awesome ride, carriage rides are pretty awesome. One of the things I absolutely love about the new electric scooters is the folding mechanisms. They're the best I find across all electric scooters. I'm not joking. I've tried loads and loads, probably over 100 electric scooters, and the new always has amazing, amazing folding. And this one, it's just as good. Check it out. Super simple at the front. And then we fold it down and it clicks into place. And once it's in place, it's good to go. Weighs about 38 pounds, so really not heavy at all. Super easy to walk up and down some stairs. And I think that's probably down to the fact that the design, like check this out. Tubular design. So there's no wasted space up here. I love this. It just means that it's nice and strong, but you know, I just think that's so smart. What a smart engineering decision to make, just to make it that much lighter. And then of course the battery just sits right in the middle. While I'm flipping it around here, let me show you something else that I find really cool. And that is the suspension. To release it is super easy. A little button and it's released. And I'm locked into place, even with a safety catch. But the suspension, it's got 9.5 inch pneumatic, so that means air-filled tires, plus a cute little suspension at the front, which is terrific. And what I'm finding is as I'm riding around Victoria today, it's eating up all the bumps without any issue whatsoever. So that was one of the biggest stumbling blocks I had with the previous new models, was they were really well designed, fabulous engineering, but the new KQi3 and the 2, they didn't have a suspension This one has a suspension. I think that makes a huge difference. And I think it opens it up to a wider audience. It means if you're riding around on beautiful, smooth surfaces, hey, that's great. But if you do hit a bump, at least you know you're gonna be safe. And if you happen to live in a town where there are loads of cracks, this is gonna eat them up. So I actually think it's a win-win for new. Let me take off now. We're gonna keep going, go down to the ocean, go for a longer ride, and I'm gonna share with you some of the things I don't like about the new KQi100P. Let's talk about stopping power. The brakes on this, we've got regenerative braking, which is terrific, because if you're going down a hill and you put the regen brakes on, well then the power is going back in the battery. So that's kind of a smart thing. Plus, for extra security, it's got a drum brake at the front as well. So one of the things I'm sort of trying to get my head around with the braking on this is that inside the controller or inside the actual app, you can set it up so that you have things like cruise control, you can lock it. There's a whole host of things you can do in the app. The app's terrific. But one of the things that I noticed that you can also do is select the amount of regen braking and how powerful of a regen braking you would like. So I have it set to regular right now. And I'm actually thinking I might just turn that down a little bit, because what ends up happening is that when I'm riding along, as soon as I let go of the throttle, the regen braking kicks in. So that's not ideal for me, but it might be ideal for you. So brass tacks. $349 for an electric scooter. Now, I've seen some special deals on Amazon and things like that, but I've never seen one where it's from a company like NIU. This is a reputable company. They've got a background in motorcycles. They know how to build stuff, and they've built something here which I think is extraordinary for the price. So if you're looking for something to be able to boot around town, you don't want to have to go, maybe you don't have a huge distance to go, maybe you're not quite as big as I am, so the hills aren't such a big deal. This might actually be a terrific fit for you. Let's start off with what I like. No, you know what? Let's start off with what I don't like. One of the first things I didn't like was I turned on something called regen braking, which is a little bit similar to, if you like, being an electric car where you don't use the brake at all. You kind of press the accelerator down. So with this one, with the accelerator, with the throttle on, everything's fine. As soon as you let go of the throttle, the regen braking would kick in. I didn't like that, so I turned that off. What I did like was the cruise control. I just think that makes sense. If I'm going along doing 20 kilometers an hour or 15 miles an hour somewhere, and I don't want to always have to be playing around with the throttle, I love regen. I love the fact how fast and easy it was to be able to fold it up. Does it have a huge battery? No, 243 watt hours. It's a really small battery. It's terrific for short haul, short hops, but you don't really want to be using this for any kind of long commutes because it just doesn't have the range for you. I know it has like how far it will go, and I'm going to put the marketing behind it and what it says up here, but the reality is, especially if you're a bigger person, range is not going to be a big thing on this thing. But everything else, the ride, 9.5-inch air-filled tires meant the ride was terrific. The suspension, I love the fact that it's got some suspension to it. Just evens out all of the bumps. Little light at the front, light at the back. I think this is terrific value. $349? I think that's amazing. Hello. Perfect. Okay.